You have just stepped into the Midlife Revolution, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis, and we're two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we're here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating career shifts, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution. Hey, good morning. It's March the 26th. Wow, we're almost through the first quarter, just a few more days. And this is a very special week. Those of us celebrating Holy Week, Happy Holy Week, Ramadan, and other holidays. This is about really a celebration of discipline. And my name is Coach Wayne. I work with men through midlife so that the second half of their lives can be bigger, bolder, and better. I am very, very happy this morning to introduce my co-host, the great Coach Stacy M. Lewis. Morning, Stacy.
Yay! And good morning, grand rising to everyone. Whether you are catching us live or on the replay, we're just so excited that you are here. And I'll add, this is the end of Women's History Month. So happy Women's History Month to those of us acknowledging that greatness. I am Stacy M. Lewis, and I have the honor of being a nonprofit executive and a midlife women's coach. And so I'm so excited to be here to have this conversation with my partner, Wayne. Really, we're just here to serve. So we hope that you enjoyed the conversation and look forward to any comments that you might have. So Wayne, what are we talking about today?
Hey, before we even get into that, Stacy, we are at episode 5.
Is there like a special celebration? I don't know. When you're married, is like 5. Is that paper, or you know what I mean? Maybe we should.
The celebration is to invite our audiences. Yeah, the celebration is to invite our audiences to go back and look at the replays, check them out. In a short while, we're going to have these podcasts played on all your favorite podcast stations, iTunes, Spotify, Apple, those popular ones. So we're going to invite folks to go back and check those out, and we'll let you know when they're there. Today, Stacy, what are we doing today? Well,
I believe we are talking about SWOTting your way to success. Really looking at some strategies that those of us who are used to having these conversations in business about SWOT analysis and how to really apply a SWOT analysis to our business growth. This is a really unique conversation and opportunity for us to talk about how to apply the SWOT analysis to our own self-assessment so that we can really look at unique ways to grow and flourish. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too, Stacy. And a lot of folks use SWOT analysis in formal and informal settings to get an assessment of where they stand in terms of the health of their organization, right? And you can go as deep as you want, or you can stay on the surface level. Today, we want to share how when you get to, it doesn't have to be midlife, but we're specifically targeting our midlife friends. So we want to talk about how when you are at that midlife age or stage, how you can use SWOT to determine the path to your success. Because remember, we are making sure that at that stage, all roads lead to success.
So important to really think about how we can look at ourselves, right? I think self-analysis is always one of the most valuable tools that we have. We don't need anything external to hold in our hand, but the valuable tools that we have to really look at how we can grow, how we can thrive, how we can flourish, how we can live our best lives. So I think that this is a perfect application of a SWOT analysis in a more personal, professional, developmental way.
Yeah. We start off with S in the acronym of SWOT, and the S represents strength. And of course, we all have strengths, even though sometimes we spend a lifetime not recognizing what they are. And so I would challenge folk, when I work with corporations and execs in corporations, one of the things that we start off with is a strength analysis. And Strength Finder is one of the ones that we use oftentimes, but there are several others. And what we do is we kind of get an assessment of where you are in terms of your natural talents, the things that you do better and perhaps more efficiently than others, the things that come to you naturally, right? And we're suggesting that we all have these strengths. And so at a certain point, if you're looking at leveling up your career in midlife, you want to look at your strengths, identify what they are, and play to them. What I find, Stacy, is that the men that I work with that understand and define what their strengths are, they do better in terms of productivity and have a better sense of fulfillment when they stay in that strength mode.
I think one of the things I really like about this conversation is that we tend not to, I'll say, as a woman who has, kind of come up professionally, the norm has not been to focus on our strengths. It's always, even when you think about being in a conversation of reviewing your performance, right, as an individual, as an employee, or even as a business owner, it's often been about what we're not doing or what we could do better. But I love this approach of really focusing on the strengths and seeing how we can use our strengths to make us even stronger. And I think that oftentimes we forget, at least as women, how all of those accomplishments, whether they've been in the household, they've been in relationships, they've been on the job, they've been running a business, how all of those accomplishments have really built our strengths. And why not seize on all of that we've really grown and honed over the years and really walk on that instead of, I'm not, I don't know, I'm not articulate enough, or I'm not as quick-witted enough. The reality is there's so many strengths that we need to seize. And I think that this is a great opportunity.
Yeah. We got to look at things like what values, achievements we have, what resources we have that puts us a little bit above others. And, we go further on when we do work with the brothers that I see, Stacy, to compile those strengths and look at the way that we can create a statement, what we call an impact statement, which is to kind of collate those strengths. And when we present ourselves, we talk about the impact that we have made. And these are usually coming from our strengths. So we definitely are inviting folk today to take an assessment. What are your strengths? And don't small up yourself, as they say in Jamaica, and pretend that you don't want to speak to your strengths. This is a time to big up.
Don't small up yourself. I love that. And I'm, little West Indian, different part of the Caribbean, but I think that it's so important. Women sometimes are used to playing a smaller game or even downplaying really the gifts and the strength that they have to bring to any situation. And so I love it. Don't smile up your strengths, nah.
Yeah, I see the Queen Audrey, Dr. Dawson is on the line, and she says, we often see how we fall short when there is so much to celebrate. That is
Yes,
true.
yes,
That
yes.
is
So
true.
well said, Sister Audrey. So well said.
And people of color have a habit, oftentimes, of feeling like they can't celebrate their strengths and put it before them. That's a mistake. You know, I
Agreed.
think we need to encourage each other to do that.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
And
So
Stacey, you want to
let's
take on
hop
the
on
W?
into, yeah. Let's hop on into weaknesses.
So, weaknesses. Now, a lot of people feel very weird to talk about weaknesses, but we all have them, don't we?
We
And
definitely
your
do.
weakness doesn't mean that you need to be sent to the pastures to graze. It simply means, oftentimes, where you can develop, where perhaps you may not spend all your time if you want to be more efficient. It means when you are talking about delegation, someone else may be so much better at the technical part of the job where you are stronger in terms of the marketing aspect. So maybe it's time to collaborate or delegate. And a lot
Right.
of folk at their midlife level are finding that at the younger groups that
Mm-hmm.
they are born, as you know, with technology at their bedside. And oftentimes it makes sense to just, as you do your assessment, connect with them, shatter them, learn from them. But first, you must acknowledge that you have a weakness.
That is so true. And I think that it's also an opportunity to look at those weaknesses and truly assess them. As opposed to, I think both you and I are often doing mindset work, right? What is your mind set on? And are you so focused on those weaknesses that it becomes a weakness itself, right? Your focus on the weaknesses. Yet that acknowledgement that you're talking about and really saying, okay, I'm not strong in this area. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, how important is it that I be strong in this area? Or I love your presentation around really saying, how can I partner with someone? How can I connect with others? How can I use, we talked about a couple of episodes ago, relationships. How can I, as I've assessed my relationships, really see how I can partner, identify someone that can help me with these weaknesses and really continue to move forward, not really look at them as a shortfall, but say, this is just not my gift. And how can I partner with somebody to move forward?
Yeah. And if you get an assessment by your boss and
Mm-hmm.
they give you a critique that points out to some weaknesses, accept that as feedback, not as defeat, and determine that you want to work on that, address it, but you must firstly become aware. And again, remove the ego and play to both the strengths and weaknesses and the rest of the acronym we'll talk about later. But you must be willing to hear it out. What habits perhaps that you have had that gets in the way of your moving forward. And you
Right,
said it, mindset. What's the
right.
thinking?
Right. And I think when you just said, when your boss, your manager, someone is reporting to you, right? Because this can happen even in relationships. When someone is saying to you, this is a blind spot I see in you, or this is an area where you respond in a way that is not productive, but to see that as an opportunity, right? That is really that weakness is an opportunity to say, okay, how can I have what it takes without external resources to improve upon that weakness or to acknowledge and address that weakness? Is this an opportunity for me to grow, for me to step into a higher level of myself, for me to take control of whether it be my thought life or my behaviors, my responses? What are the opportunities that those weaknesses present, and how can we seize them?
Stacy, you stole my thunder. Opportunities is the third in our SWOT analysis, right? SWOTting our way to success. But you laid it out, because what is important for us to recognize is that we have opportunities to make a change, to do something differently.
Yes.
Now, if we spent the first 40 years of our life just getting by, or mediocrity has been the order of the day, certainly with the next 30 or 40 laying ahead of us halfway, we have opportunities. And it's important that we look at the landscape, like you said, the resources and what resourcefulness comes about from us to bring about or take advantage of opportunities.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I was really thinking about those external resources, but as you're saying, right, the resourcefulness within each of us. Again, and I think that this is just such a beautiful season, which is why I love what we're doing, and hope that it's resonating with others out there in this, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, really thinking about, okay, how am I going to move forward now? What is my dream now? What is my aspiration now? And what are the opportunities that I have in front of me with all of that learning, with all of those experiences, to move forward, to make bigger impact, to play my biggest game? And so this conversation about resourcefulness on the inside and the opportunities that are presented to us is really a great one. It's one I wish I had even 5 years ago.
Yeah. And so here's a challenge. Let us take a look and see what action steps we can take right now or in the near future to help us with the growth and the progress toward our goals. That's
Yes.
an opportunity for us, right?
It's a great, I think that each of these, right, taking 2 minutes to identify, to list out as many strengths that you find in yourself as you can. And then another 2 minutes to identify what are some of your weaknesses, and then what are some of the opportunities that you see for you, for your life, for your profession, for your relationships, for whatever aspect of your experience you are focused on. And then to really look at, right, to take these few minutes to start to dig into what are the threats, and are they really threats? Or are we perceiving them as threats? And how can we move forward in ways that are empowering and empowered, to continue to thrive and make an impact?
Yeah, yeah. And Stacy, we are now into level 4 of
The threats.
the SWOT analysis, threat. And you hinted at it just now, threat. We look at the landscape, and in businesses, we sometimes see threat as the competition, right? The person down the street that's opening up a business to enter into your market share, that's a
Right.
potential threat.
Right.
But for ourselves, we can look at threats in a similar way in terms of what gets in the way of us moving forward. And one of the things I know for folk in their midlife is they start saying, well, I don't think somebody wants to hire me. I'm too old to learn more. I'm too old to go back to school. I'm going through this thing, so I can't connect and make new friends. But Stacy, we talked about it off the air. Those threats are not real threats.
Right.
That's
Right.
mindset. Those
Right.
are your perceptions. Stacy, what do
Right.
you think about that?
No, I think that that's so spot on. And I was reflecting on a couple of clients. One of the reasons that you and I are focused on people of color is not just because we're people of color, but because there are some significant nuances that happen to us in our experience as people of color. And I was reflecting and listening to you on a couple of clients, both females, that are professional women, degrees and experience, yet in this season of life, really realizing that they have a bigger game to play, right? Maybe it's their current place of work where they're not thriving, where they're not respected. And the internal threat is, who wants to hire a Black woman in her, 50s in this certain arena? And that threat, and part of the conversation that we had was around recognizing that many companies are now acutely focused on their diversity, right? Ensuring that they have leadership diversity, that they have employee diversity. And so it was reframing that mindset to say, this is an opportunity to take what you see as a threat, right? Being a Black woman with natural hair and, in your 50s trying to look for a new gig. To
Yeah.
see that those things, those qualities as threats, but to shift it and say, oh, wait, this is where the opportunity is. This is really where I get to shine, right? To seize the fact that these things are attributes that companies are looking for. And with my background, with my skills, with my experience, my threats are not threats. They really are strengths and opportunities. And it's time to put them into practice. So I love what you were saying. Love it.
Well
Love
said,
it.
Stacy.
Love it.
I'm often asked by brothers in C-suite positions or that are aspiring to get there. They will oftentimes say, hey, I go to the boardroom or I'm in a meeting and I'm the only brother. And that's intimidating. How do you handle that, Wayne? And I'll say that before I fired corporate America, I oftentimes found myself in a similar situation. So rather than seeing it as a threat, I saw it as an opportunity to do what? To be an ambassador for brothers, so that how I showed up and how I stepped up could reflect a sense of power, a sense of confidence, a sense of just know-how, and hopefully change the thinking, what I call the stinking thinking that holds others back from recognizing who we are. And so a lot of the threats that we perceive hold us back. If only we would start understanding that we can reframe those threats, perceived threats, and with a little bit of tweaking, make them work for us. And you said the word, rather than feeling like we're struggling and striving, we start thriving as a result of that conversation around threats.
Yes, I think off that there were many rooms, and it still happens today, where I am either the only woman of color, the only Black woman, the only woman with a C-suite title. And I think one of the core threats that I sometimes experience, even in those moments, is the lack of confidence. So it is looking at that threat, calling that threat what it is. It's really a lie. And then reframing to say, like, nope, even you got to fake it till you make it, right? So when I step into those rooms sometime, and I may not be feeling the most confident, but no one in there knows it but me, right? So I'm taking that threat of a lack of confidence and saying, no one else is going to opportune on that threat. And it's really up to me to make sure that I'm seizing, right? That I'm holding captive. Scripture talks about like holding captive those things that are trying to rise up against what God says about you. And so I am just really, really ignited by, even as I look at the word threats on the screen, I'm saying, no, we really have to shift that and take hold of that and make sure that we are employing the authority that we have in order to reposition those threats to our benefit.
Absolutely, Stacy. And you know what this all amounts to when we talk about swatting our way to success, it speaks to self-awareness. We
Yes.
have to take a look at ourselves. And yes, there are things on the outside that we want to look at. We want to look at the threats and all the other things that appear before us externally, but nothing happens to our external reality unless we change and adjust our internal reality, right? I like to say that obviously the work begins on the inside, and our outside reality is a reflection of what's happening internally. So when we look at SWOT, how do we see our strengths? And let's be honest, time to be authentic and real. How do we play and see our weaknesses? And what are the opportunities once we see these? And of course, how do we deal with those threats?
Right. So good. I think that as we look at swatting our way to success, it is that we need to maybe change it to swoop or something, right? So how do we take those opportunities and turn them into possibilities? How do we take those threats and turn them into possibilities? Those strengths, those weaknesses, how do we turn that into possibility, into us moving forward into where we're supposed to be, right? Into that next vision of ourselves that we have. And really, this is our time. This is our time. You and I often talk about the fact that it is not too late. And one of the beauties of coaching, I have a couple of coaches, and one of the beauties of coaching is really someone that digs into how you're perceiving these things, how you're perceiving your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, the threats, the possibilities. Where's your mind set in ways that it needs to move from fixed in those thoughts to time to grow, into real growth mindset, into real growth of, as you assess yourself, as you apply the SWOT to your own life, professionally, personally, relationally, spiritually, financially, the whole gamut. What next? What now? How can we then position that in a way that allows us to grow and thrive?
Yeah, I hate to do it, Stacy, as we come down to the bottom of the hour, but I'm going to leave a cliffhanger and perhaps we can address it. Most of the threats we think about are dealing and hiding subconscious fears, the big one. So that's just to hold on to your brushes, folks. We're going to probably talk about this in another episode. Stacy, I give you the last 30 seconds to kind of get us out of here before we play the outro.
Well, we certainly can't change it to swoof, right? So I'll just say, if you are checking us out live or seeing the replay, please make some notes in the comments. Tell us what you're thinking. We'd love to hear from you, and let us know what you want us to talk about next. How can we be of service to you? We're so excited to take this time out of our day to really just have these conversations that we hope are enriching and flourishing and supporting to those of you in our listening and viewer audience. So thanks for being here so much. See you,
We'll
Wayne.
catch you on the app and we'll see you later.
Oh.
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution. Hey, we truly appreciate you spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
Don't forget, if today's episode resonated with you, share your thoughts and suggest topics in the comments. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, and hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.